Jesus Christ reminds us how he suffered for us, where he was actually faultless himself. He lived a perfect life, yet he suffered for all of us, for our sins. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21, it simply says, "For even hereunto were you called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps." So it sort of tells you kind of straight away, but I always like to dive into it anyway to comprehend a little bit more. It emphasizes that believers are called to follow the example of Christ, who endured suffering for humanity. It highlights that suffering is not meaningless. That's good. Rather, it serves as a model for Christians to live righteously even in the face of trials. All right. This verse is a part of a passage of addressing how Christians should respond to suffering and injustice. The preceding verses, 18 to 20 apparently, instruct servants to submit to their masters and endure wrongful suffering patiently, showing that enduring hardship for doing good is commendable before God. So 18 to 20. What does that say then? Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward. For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it if, when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if, when you do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God. That confused me. Dear oh dear. So we keep reading here then. Christ's suffering is presented as the ultimate example. He committed no sin and did not retaliate when reviled or mistreated. By his sacrifice, believers are called to live unto righteousness and follow his steps, trusting God's righteous judgments. Enduring in trials. Christians are encouraged to remain steadfast and patient when facing difficulties, reflecting Christ's example. Yes, it makes sense. Difficult, it's harder to do than easier to say, so to speak. Moral integrity. Even when wrong, believers should respond without malice or revenge, committing themselves to God. Yes, again, that makes sense. In heat of the moment, sometimes, of course, it's a bit tricky, but ultimately it is the best thing to do. Spiritual growth, following Christ's steps in suffering strengthens faith and aligns believers with God's will. In essence, this verse calls Christians to imitate Christ's humility, patience, and righteousness, demonstrating faith through actions even under hardship. Yes, indeedy. So, Jesus Christ set a good example for us, an insanely good example, like we could not even have imagined. He suffered for all our sins, so the least we can do is try our best to follow his steps. Amen.